Holy coronavirus, Batman. Last 2 weeks we haven't done anything. I haven't done anything. The family's been sick. Everything is now shut down. And as we wait for the world to burn itself to the ground, I've been doing a lot of triage work. So I've been helping out the family, getting all my kids well again. I'm pretty sure everybody had it. I don't know if that's the case or not. But we've been sick for like 2 weeks. So sorry I haven't put anything out. But I am going to start putting things out. So I've got two guests coming up. One is probably my wife. We're going to talk about a few things: what it's like to be married to a defense contractor, what it's like to run a business from your home, as it relates to a lot of people now are working from home because of corona. And we're going to talk about a few other things that are applicable. So I'll put out like some little information teasers as I write the stuff out and get past the brainstorming portion of what we're doing here. Is this on? It is on, so that's good. Coming to you from my closet, one of several closets I have in my huge house. What else? What else am I doing? Oh yeah, our other guest is I'm gonna have to get to know him a little bit more. We've been chatting back and forth. I think he's currently deployed. He looks to be like a forced security type of guy. He's got a handful of weapons of him. It looks like he's doing some sort of training on a firearms range and so on. So we'll have some more shooters on the show. That's one of the critiques that people have been sending my way. They want to know more about people who shoot other people. I think it's important to keep in mind. I will get you those guys, but it's important to keep in mind that defense contractors do a lot of things. We're looking at this blue dot. I know you're looking at the blue dot. Blue dot. Blue dot. Blue dot. Okay. Defense contractors do a lot of different things. Yes, some of them are in security. Some of them do security work. Others, I mean, it just ranges, right? So if you look at my first episode, the introduction, you'll see that defense contracting and private military contracting ranges from science, R&D type of people to shooters, people who specialize in executive protection, people who specialize in mobile protection or static guard protection and so on. I wasn't one of those guys. I did UAVs. So I coordinated and worked with intelligence centers for the most part. So, and with that, we had contact working with, I shouldn't use it in past tense because I still do it, working with people in the intelligence community, all of the 3-letter agencies, alphabet soup type folks. It's a fascinating place. UAVs are especially fascinating because you're sort of at the intersection between aviation, but you're not an aviator. So you got the aerospace aspect of it. You've got the intelligence aspect of it, but you're not in the intelligence community. In some regards, you likely will deploy to austere environments and be a part of working with like mobile security detachments and so on. And I'll kind of get more into that later as I develop more for the show. But you get to work with all these different overlapping industries within the defense community, which is pretty cool. There's something else that I haven't really discussed that I want to talk about. I want to talk about foreign military or foreign private military contracting. What I mean by that is this is primarily my group, my circle. It's primarily U.S. U.S. personnel, right? And we work for U.S. contracts for the most part. But there are a lot of people who end up leaving and going to work for questionable people. You've got cartels and warlords and people like that scattered across the globe. And I think it's important to know that private military contractors also do that. So you almost have this sort of spectrum of PMCs who follow the money specifically might be on one end of the spectrum, and then other PMCs will be more or less dedicated to their country. Whatever their country is paying for, that's what they go do. But I want this show to cover the spectrum of private military contractors. So I've been talking to a lot of interesting and possibly shady characters that are willing to be on the show, but we have to talk about logistics. There's a heavy lift logistics issue because they don't want necessarily everyone to know their name, but they do want to share their stories. So that's part of what I want to do for people is, we can bring somebody on anonymously. We don't have to see everybody's face, but, it's also important to keep in mind that I'm not really a journalist. I'm doing a show about a game that I know, or at least I know one portion of it. And I think it's important for people to understand how this world works. In the midst of coronavirus, a lot of people are sort of opening their eyes to the fact that your government controls your life. You don't control your life. You control your life as a byproduct of what your government allows you to do, right? So we tend to say things like we live in a free and open society. Well, not whenever we say that there's an emergency, right? So if there's a state of emergency, the government really reserves the right to do whatever they want with your rights. How does that relate to being a private military contractor? It's all part of telling the truth. The truth is the world, at least my world and my profession, has revolved around warfare and control of other people's social structures and economic conditions. So keep that in mind as this show progresses, that I'm here to show you the truth that you might not be aware that, that there are these people out there that do these fascinating and interesting jobs. And I want to steer away from using phrases like they work in a shadowy world and they're, I have to lift the veil to show you the truth and so on. But maybe that is how people understand it. Maybe that is how I should talk about it, because I know that people don't know that there's a lady poisoning a monkey right now with like VX nerve gas, right? There is a former Navy SEAL killing people for a cartel south of the American border. There are intelligence operators currently working for cash with no official cover, right? Those are the people that encompass this entire world of military contracting. It is and can be a shady place. I also want to talk about other interesting things like the contract portion of military contracting. So I've worked with a handful of organizations to help them put together requests for proposal for federal government contracting. So if a company wants to use UAVs and they want to use it for the Department of Defense, say in the United States, there's an entire long process of how to find those contracts that are out there and then how to apply for them. And then I help companies do that. So that's currently what I do for a living. That is also a very interesting thing to talk about, because all of the rumors that you've heard about insider trading are absolutely true. They're 100% true. A lot of things work on a good old boy system. So yes, they will allow for X amount of people to bid on those projects. But if you're not friends with the people who are answering the bid, then you're likely not going to get access to the project. You have these huge projects that are, some of them are tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. And Uncle Sam is just writing these massive checks for companies that can all relatively speaking do the same thing. So it's been an interesting world getting on the paperwork side of defense contracting, because you get to see how it actually works, and it is what everybody says it is. It's a rigged game. It really is. Um, every now and then, and I haven't been a part of this for a long time, but every now and then you'll see companies that do actually win their bids on the lowest bid, because that's what Uncle Sam wants. He wants the cheapest. He wants the most value for the cheapest amount of money that they can get. But there's all kinds of collusion between one company and another. They work together to get the bids, and they all have contingency plans. So if they don't get the bid, then they become some subcontractors for those bids. So these guys will spend, these contracting RFP type of people will spend years working to generate business friendships, and they work together, and they give each other access slowly to more and more contracts. And that's sort of how business always works. But on the front end, you're looking, the federal government puts out that they're free and open to anybody who wants access to the bid. And the case is that they're not. You have to be friends with those people to get access to the bid. So I'm going to be detailing that a lot as well. And I'm going to have people on who do that for a living. Some of them have recently retired. So just stay tuned. And hopefully I can get more of these interviews knocked out now that everybody's stuck at home and not working. And the DOD's put out travel bans like all over. And now maybe I'll have more access to more people. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know what's going on, what I'm thinking for the future of this podcast, the near future, and wanted to keep you updated. Still here, not dead of Corona, not yet. All right, that's all. See you.